Hi, welcome to this week's Stay Classy and Choose Love episode. I'm excited to be back. My heart enjoyed the respite of the last 2 weeks. I don't know, enjoyed might be the wrong word, actually. It's been a lot. It's been a busy couple weeks. I feel like I have a lot I want to talk about today and update you on, and then get back to the story, Jeremy and I's story. So, it's a busy day. I'm like throwing in recording among a local parade this morning, mowing the yard tonight, all the things, right? So I feel like my dog is super needy sitting next to me right now. That's okay. I also think sometimes he just senses all the emotions, but don't mind him, and I will just keep going. So I first want to start by just thanking so many of you that reached out after I talked about Todd and I splitting up. I continue to just be blown away by the amount of people that love me. Truly, it means so much to me. My heart still aches. This is hard. Letting go of Todd and letting go of the idea of us has been just hard. On top of that, somebody was like, well, who's producing the podcast now? It's me. Hi. I would often talk to my students about this term I call GTSing, that it stands for Google that shit. And honestly, it came from Katie in our military days, which is like funny because she does not remember this. Katie doesn't remember this. We talked about it a couple years ago in Tybee, and I was like, oh my God, for real? And when the boys were deployed and things would happen, like a toilet breaks or the air conditioning or the Wi-Fi goes down or something like that, we'd call each other and be like, do you know what to do? Do you know? And then she said one day, she's like, have you GTS'd it? And I was like, what is that? And she goes, have you Googled that shit? And I would also often tell my high schoolers that. When they would come to me with questions and be like, have you GTS'd it? Right? Like, you can figure out so much in life from GTSing it. So luckily I had the equipment. I had my own microphone and tripod and some of that stuff because, just because. And so I had spent some time watching some videos and trying to figure out how to do this. So it's me. I am now the creative talent and the producer of the podcast, which honestly hasn't been terrible. It's easier than you would think. If you've ever thought about doing it, you should just take the plunge. The hardest part, the past 2 episodes I did on my own. And the hardest part for me is I do all the recording and I tell the stories, and then it's almost like I'm like emotionally spent. And so then to upload and like write the summary for it, I've really struggled with doing that. And Todd would use his ChatGPT bot to help us write it. So I finally bit the bullet. I'm not a huge AI person. I definitely see benefits to AI. There are times when I will use it, but I'm not like a daily AI user. So I bit the bullet. It was on my to-do list where I reached out. I set up my own ChatGPT bot and was talking with AI about how I need their help writing the episode summaries and some of that stuff. And y'all, if you have not used AI, I get the danger, like the emotional danger of like being like, man, this bot really cares about me, or I feel really seen by this bot. There's so much behind it. But so, I like talked with the bot and uploaded some of Todd's summaries, some of mine, and just kind of talked about the podcast. And first off, to be encouraged by a robot to keep going with the podcast was amazing. But then once we finally got to like the structure of the podcast, my goal for the podcast, like all the things that the bot wanted to know, at the very end, this is what the bot said to me. And I mean, I actually cried. I cried from what a bot said to me because it was like so on point. It was almost terrifying, right? But I don't want to read it. That's why I've got my laptop. What the bot said was, love is a lens. Not necessarily romantic love. Love for people. Love for a life. Love that hurts. Love that survives. Love that changes. Love that asks us to choose differently. That's what makes Stay Classy and Choose Love more than a title. It sounds like the philosophy underneath the storytelling. Yeah, man, 100%. And I mean, blown away, because that is ultimately my goal by like telling the stories and being so vulnerable with my heart and talking about all the things. It's like, I think in a world where we're inundated with the idea of self-protection and horrible things, it's hard to choose love in today's world. It's hard to move forward with the lens of love. So thank you, AI, for understanding my soul so quickly and so transparently. So anyway, I did that. And, honestly, that's probably just a little bit of me trying to like figure out life without Todd. Again, it's definitely the quiet moments when I miss him the most. He was such a good supporter and such a good friend. It's been hard. It's been hard to let him go. On top of that, traveling last weekend for Logan's funeral was gut-wrenchingly beautiful. I like tragic, all the things. Watching our old Ranger community come together to surround that family with love was just beautiful, just wonderful. And it was good to see a lot of those people and do it. But I think anytime a young person, a 19-year-old dies tragically, it just seems so unfair, right? Like, no matter how you say goodbye or you honor him, it just feels unfair. And I think it gets you thinking about life and like where you're at and how are you taking advantage of this opportunity you've had to live, right? Like, and I often sit in that space. And I do think part of that is because I buried Jeremy at such a young age. I mean, I was 26 when he died. Death just became such a real thing for me in that moment that it's just, I don't know. Always been so important to me to align my decisions with who I want to be and how I want to move forward. And then on top of it, I finished reading the best book. So I'm an avid book lover, and I love most genres of books. Historical fiction tends to be my favorite, like Diamond Eye and Codename Helene are like in some of my top favorite books. Beneath the Scarlet Sky. Oh, talk about a tear jerker. I'm still waiting for that movie to come out with Tom Holland. It was filmed during the pandemic and I don't think it's ever going to be released, which like breaks my heart because that was such a beautiful story. But I digress. So avid reader, and I just finished the Matt Haig book, Haig, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Midnight Train, which put me in like a good 30-minute cry. It's just a beautiful book about taking a train at the end of your life to just see the series of all your decisions and what do you regret? What would you change? How could you go back and live it differently? And, as I go through this breakup and really kind of trying to separate myself from Todd and the toxic conflict pattern that we were in, it's challenging for me because there was so much really beautiful love between us, right? Like really shared comfort and friendship and authenticity of the relationship that it really is like just so sad that in the relationship, love didn't win. I feel like fear won. I feel like unhealed wounds won. It just feels heavy. And, I was trying so hard to help Todd heal his shit while also heal my own, that this time of coming back to me, I don't want to say it's beautiful because it's been really hard, but maybe I can see the beauty in this final step of my emotional awakening. And I say final step because I feel like walking away from Todd and I's relationship was like the final real piece I needed in my life where I chose me. And not out of fear. I mean, honestly, if I were acting out of fear, I probably would stay with Todd. because I do have this huge fear of growing old alone. And I have this huge fear that my heart won't know another great love story. But more importantly, I know I wouldn't have survived that pattern that we were in. So I chose me. And there's something in that when I sit in the quiet moments and I sit in the discomfort of being alone and I'm working to heal some of it. I see the good that's coming out of it for my own heart. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense. So, yeah, man, that emotional awakening, it just keeps, I don't know, taking me down the river. This is what this is, which strangely makes me think of Boy Scouts and Pocahontas, and anybody in my scouting world will understand that reference, and it's okay if you don't, because it's kind of dumb, but you know, I need to keep going. And I was re-listening to the last episode where I was talking about Jeremy and I becoming parents, and I talked about the chaos of when Will got shot. And you know, when life gets really hard, I am a firm believer that sometimes you just have to keep going. You have to rely on the things you know you need. Even if it doesn't feel like something you necessarily want to do, give yourself rest, be graceful with your heart, be kind, but like, get out of bed, do the workouts, eat what you're supposed to do, stop drinking, right? Like all the things. And I've been trying really hard the past couple of weeks to do that. On top of all of that, the new job, guys, it's so good. It's like so good. So, you know, I finished week 3 last week, and I have had 4 full 12-hour shifts as a registered nurse on the labor and delivery floor. I also got to spend a shift on mother baby with the lactation consultants, just kind of like learning the ropes of the hospital I'm at. And man, I love every part of it. I did 3 12-hour shifts in a row this past week, and I wrapped that up just proud of myself would be the word for it, which I try not to be a prideful person, but what I'm proud of was that I was courageous enough to take this leap of faith, right? Like it was a little terrifying hanging up my hat as a high school teacher. I didn't hate being a teacher. I really enjoyed it, actually. I just really missed being a nurse. And so taking that plunge was scary, right? And there was like the practicality of it, like the change in my schedule, the change in the expectations, and then the like practicality of like relearning all the things. Like I haven't been a bedside nurse for 15 years. One of the charge nurses, I was like, I'm still getting to know all this staff. Like it's a big hospital, the University of Kansas Health System that I'm working at, and it's a really big hospital, lots of staff, and I'm loving that part. But I was like, you know, it's the story, well, where did you come from? And I'm like, oh, I've actually been a high school teacher the past 10 years. Anyway, one of the charge nurses was like, they were like, oh, so are you new to nursing? And I kind of paused and I'm like, and the charge nurse goes, she's a refurbished nurse. That just tickled such a funny bone for me. Refurbished is like the perfect way to describe it, right? Like I have the meat, right? And I know the things, but I'm definitely relearning. And my speculation that I was going to really enjoy that part, on point. Y'all, I am like soaking up the knowledge and loving every piece of it. It was funny. I'm learning how to like, you know, I don't want to get too technical because I know not everybody that listens to this podcast is a nurse, but I was asking, there's a piece that I have to chart. You know, we watched this is the maternal contraction pattern strips, and there was a piece on that I'm supposed to chart and calculate when I'm doing checks for the mom and baby. Anyways, and I was like, well, I don't understand what this word is. And it was interesting because I was with like 3 other nurses, and they were like, well, it's just something we do. And I was like, I mean, fair, like no judgment here, but it helps me. I know that I'm the type of learner. It helps me to do these things well when I understand the why, right? So we totally GTS'd it. We're all sitting around charting and figuring it out, and it's fun. I am one of the oldest nurses that I have like really encountered outside of the charge nurses, which is strangely fun for me. Like my last shift, I was with this sweet girl and she was fantastic. And Everett texted me at some point during the shift and asked how it was going. I said, great, I have a great teacher. And I'm kind of loving learning from younger people. I don't know, maybe it's because I've been the teacher for so long. I thought I might struggle a little bit with the humility of being the learner again, but I'm like loving it. Like everybody's been so kind and respectful, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the laboring part, like helping moms labor and doing all the things. Like it's so good. It's so good. It's just so good. When I'm struggling with so much personally right now, there's this part of me that's really thankful for this change in my life, like, because it's bringing me excitement about the future and hope of just kind of like where I'm going and what I'm doing with my heart. So the job is good, guys. It's so good. I feel like too, so I will eventually be on night shift, and it's not until like October that I switch to night shift, and I feel like I'm going to catch on to all the things on day shift and get used to 12-hour shifts during the day, and then I'll switch to nights, and it'll be another adjustment, but hopefully like the last really big one, and then I get to just learn the things, and I am so thankful, and it's working out, it's so good. So there's that's been going on, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And there's this part of me, y'all, if you are scared to make a change, acknowledge that, right? Like I always tell my students, it's okay to be scared of change. Like truly, I think we get so in our heads about like, oh, it doesn't feel right. And there's this part of me that's like, why would it feel right to like switch careers without it being scary? Or, well, it should be a little scary to go to college. Like change is hard. Acknowledge it, but also believe you can do it. Anyways, I don't know. I'm glad I did it. There's this part of me as I'm talking through it that it's even moments like this where I get a little emotional because my biggest advocate on switching was Todd. He was so supportive of that change. And it's moments like that where I will forever be thankful for our story and how he showed up for me when he did. So anyways, it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine without him. I am calm. Okay, so let's get back to the story of Jeremy and I and, all the things. So I went back and I was listening to the podcast where I wrapped up talking about Everett being born, and y'all didn't know it, but Todd had left that day, the day before or whatever. Yeah, I think it was the day before. So there's like, as I was kind of an emotional mess at the end of that podcast trying to keep it together, that's just a little bit of the why. And, I had some people reach out after that one. And again, I just continue to be blown away by all the love and support. So anyways, but I feel like I ended it quickly with Everett being born and the story of Jeremy going over there and putting his fingers in Everett's hands when he went to the warmer. And that will forever be like one of my absolute favorite stories to tell because it just was such a beautiful raw moment. But there's this part as I'm like trying to plan out the timeline of how to tell the stories. I want to go back to the hospital because it's so scary when you become a parent, and being integrated in that in people's lives again, as a labor and delivery nurse now, it's been fun for me that this is the part that I'm at in the podcast, because I was thinking about it this week because I was like handing a brand new baby to the parents, and I was watching the dad with this baby, and I'm so thankful Jeremy was there for this. So, Everett was born at like 5:18, 5:16, I don't know, 5:15ish in the evening. And so I remember I got transferred to mother baby like shortly after shift change. So probably like after 7. And 7 or 8. I don't really know. But we had gotten to the hospital super early for the induction that morning. So we were both, being Jeremy and I, super, super tired. And what I remember being in the room, in the hospital room, and like bone tired because I had delivered a baby that day. But there was this piece of me that I will forever remember laying in the room and seeing Jeremy asleep in the recliner, Everett asleep in the bassinet, just, wrapped in that cute little hospital blanket with the little hospital hat, just cute little lips, like just thinking to myself, I did it. I did it. I delivered a baby. I'm a mom. I did it. And I don't know if it's because we struggled to get pregnant. I don't know what it was, but there was just this feeling of like, I did it and everything went well. And I had this beautiful, healthy baby boy and this fantastic husband asleep in that room, and just really thinking to myself, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. And I didn't sleep much that night because I would like just kind of stir, and hospital beds are terrible. But all the things I did it. I became a mom. And then it was ironic because turns out that literally like while I was delivering Everett, the plane that was bringing home Jeremy's squad and Jeremy's company was like landing. So it was kind of fun. So the next day we're in the hospital, and it's interesting because I don't really remember that day very much. I probably slept because I hadn't slept much and just, figuring out things, but I hadn't slept much. And then that evening, I really wanted Olive Garden because Jeremy and I love Olive Garden. So this was pre-DoorDash days. So Jeremy went to go pick up Olive Garden for us, and I'm in the hotel. I'm in the hospital with Everett, and I have to go to the bathroom. And listen, if you're somebody that hasn't been around a woman that day after she's had a baby, which God bless you, for whatever reason that might be, just understand that going to the bathroom after vaginally delivering your kid is an entire ordeal that involves these atrocious fishnet granny panties, giant pads, and a squirt bottle of all the things. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling this. But I am in the bathroom, and Jeremy was gone, so I had the bathroom door open because I'm in a hospital, and I felt like most of our visitors had already come and gone for the day. And so I'm in the bathroom, and I literally remember being like mid-squirt with that water bottle to kind of clean stuff up. The door opens, and in walks Jeremy's team leaders. It was Sandrino, Platino, and Justin McIntosh. And they walk in, and I am literally mid-toilet with the squirt bottle. These men are not married. They do not have wives. They are young and like mortified. Like we're all just mortified. I remember being like, just a minute! And like, I didn't even need to yell anything because they were closing the door as quickly as they could once they kind of saw what happened. And oh my God, I'm like embarrassed just talking about it. And I remember like getting done and just standing in the room crying because, I'm like hormonal and I'm embarrassed and crying. And Jeremy comes in with the Olive Garden, and he's like, hey. And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, I know, I just saw them in the hallway. I think they're just as embarrassed as you are. And I'm like, oh my God, Jeremy. And it was fine. They came in and we all just pretended like nothing had happened. It's fine. It's fine. And to be honest, I don't really think they saw a whole lot. It just was mortifying. And so that was the hospital. And, Jeremy and I got to go home with Everett. And here's the piece that I want to tell you. And I will be really transparent about this. And one of the things I've really worked on in therapy is like my expectations for myself particularly, right? Like, so I had these expectations. So Everett was born end of October, and you guys, so my maternity leave was going to go until like right up until the start of the new year. So I was going to have the holidays off, and I was super excited because I am like a Christmas lover. And in my mind, it was all going to be like a Norman Rockwell painting. Like I was going to have this beautiful baby in his little bouncy chair or whatever it might be while I'm baking Christmas cookies, and the house is going to be perfect, and I'm going to lose all the baby weight right away, and everything's going to be perfect. It was cute. It's cute. Y'all, I don't think I baked a single Christmas cookie that year. Not one. Not one. Which is totally fine. Totally fine. So there's just so much to talk about with all this, and it was such a short time frame. So what I remember, so the first kind of real mistake that I made was, and I don't know that it was a mistake. That's the wrong word. Maybe, I don't know. We'll call it whatever we want. But so Jeremy was going to get block leave shortly after Everett was born. So anytime the boys got home, they got 2 weeks of leave shortly after they would get home, just kind of like reacclimate with family, see family, yada, yada. So I had this fantastic idea that instead of everybody coming to Savannah for me to host them so that they could meet Everett, that it would be easier for us to drive to Kansas City with our less than 1 month old so that everybody could meet Everett there. Pause for a second. This is pre-COVID, long time. So like, I know a lot of people are like, that's crazy to do that in the winter right now, but it just different times, y'all. Okay. So in my mind, that was going to be easier. I should have looked at the pictures a little bit more closely for the actual date, because the other piece was Patrick, my brother, had left for like his basic training and ranger training and all that. And so I feel like like our trip to Kansas City somehow corresponded with a break that Patrick was going to get. So we were going to go from Savannah to Columbus, Georgia, where Fort Benning was. And then from Fort Benning up to Kansas City with our infant child and our blind dog. So, Rex, the Shih Tzu. So by this point, Rex had been going blind, which we didn't necessarily know at this time, but he was kind of anxious, and he was the best dog ever until Copper Dog. But, so yeah, I got this idea that this is what we were going to do. Looking back on it, I would not suggest taking a massive road trip with such a young baby. You do you. Just my suggestion. Okay? So, I just kept going. It was fine. I remember getting to Columbus and seeing Patrick, and that part was like really good. We went to Kansas City, and it was fine. It was great. Like, seeing the families were great. There's pictures of Everett with Jeremy's grandma. Like that, all that was just so great. The trip itself was wonderful. I don't have a lot of really clear details, except I do remember, I gotta make sure this is in the pictures for this week. There was an afternoon where I let Jeremy take Everett to go get lunch with our friend Adam. And I've just been such an advocate of like empowering Jeremy to be a hands-on dad. Like, Jeremy wanted to be a hands-on dad, but I also knew that like, I don't know, it can just be intimidating as a mom to let the dad be so involved. And I was breastfeeding Everett. So like, we only had a couple hours where Jeremy could take Everett, but, Jeremy took him to lunch and owned it like a pro. And I feel like Adam's probably listening to this, and he could tell you more about that afternoon than I could, but it was great. And that was the piece of it, there wasn't anything like awful about the trip. It just was the stress of like traveling with a newborn baby. I remember before we left, This is where I decided the phrase traveling with everything but the kitchen sink comes from when you have a kid. Because like quite literally, like we had like a hatchback station, like it was a Venza, a Toyota Venza. I loved that car. It was a red Toyota Venza that like, so like a small SUV station wagon type thing. So in my mind, we had plenty of room to take all the things. We had to repack that car like 4 times before we made it out of Savannah because I kept having to leave stuff back. Like I needed my pump, I needed the strollers, I needed the pack and play, I needed this, I needed that, I needed diapers, I needed like all the things, right? So it was just stressful. And then trying to get into a routine with a baby when you're not at home, has brand new parents, it just was stressful. Everything about it was stressful. So one of my other favorite Jeremy stories comes out of this. So I remember we headed back. Oh, I gotta rewind when I get done with this because I was trying to remember which came first. So we headed back. We left Kansas City to come back to Savannah on Thanksgiving Day. Just the way the dates worked, that's what was going to be best. It was Thanksgiving Day. So we're driving back, and we would always stop in Nashville. That was like our midway, or I shouldn't say always. When it was just Jeremy and I, we would drive straight through. But so once we had Everett, and then I would stop in Nashville because that was the halfway point. And we were driving along and just past St. Louis. So like that kind of, it's a very boring stretch between St. Louis and Nashville where we drive through Kentucky and Illinois. And we hit like a little bit of like a snowstorm, ice storm type things. The weather wasn't great. I'm tired and cranky by this point. My body is just gone through absolute hell. And we're driving back, and there's not a lot open to eat at, which makes me giggle a little bit because now I'm the type of mom I would have just packed our meals, but I was not thinking that far ahead at that stage of my life. And so we stopped at like a Burger King or a Hardee's, something that I don't ever normally eat at because it was the only thing that was open. And I told Jeremy what I wanted to eat, and I was like, I'm going to go change Everett and then feed him in the car while we're stopped. And so I went to go in the bathroom, and this is where I learned that not every location has diaper changing tables. And I was not going to lay my kid out on the bathroom floor and change him. So I went back to the car, and it was dark, and my blind dog is in the car, and I'm trying to, and the car is literally floor to ceiling, packed full of just all the shit. And so I go to try to change Everett in his car seat. And that sweet baby boy of mine, I take off the diaper and I go to change him, and he just pees all over me. Like just all over the car, all urine in my mouth, like just all over me. All over me. It was so gross. So I'm like so mad. And Jeremy's still inside ordering our food. And so I like clean myself up. I clean up Everett. I clean up the car seat. I feed Everett in the front seat. I'm like just finishing the feeding. And Jeremy comes back with our food. And he's like, just happy-go-lucky Jeremy in the best mood ever. He's totally like, here we are, blah, blah, blah. And I just turned to him. I'm like, where is my strawberry milkshake? Where is it? And he looks at me and goes, and I was like, all I wanted was a strawberry milkshake. And then I proceed to just break down crying over a strawberry milkshake. And he looks at me and he goes, babe, I don't really think this is about a milkshake. Are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm a terrible mom. He said all the right things and made me feel better, and it was great. But the funny thing about this is the next day when we were continuing our trip, every time we would stop somewhere, he would come back with either like a strawberry milkshake, strawberry milk, or something strawberry, because he's like, I don't know what happened while I was gone, and so I'm just gonna come with something. And we made it home, and I had terrible hemorrhoids from sitting in the car so long. I remember going to my 6-week checkup like the next week, and like just not being okay. And my doctor, who, you know, I've talked about him before, but he really was so good. I just remember him like putting his hand on my knee and just being like, motherhood is hard and you're doing a better job than you think you are. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Probably some like clinical postpartum blues is what I was going through. I really was kind of on the struggle bus. The story I want to tell though is Jeremy's birthday was November 2nd. So I was trying to remember if we did the trip first or his birthday. And his birthday must have been first because we came back on Thanksgiving Day. So even like his birthday is a great example of just me having these high expectations of myself without having any idea how hard becoming a parent was going to be. I remember asking Jeremy what he wanted for his birthday dinner, and God bless him, that I want to say that fucker turned to me, but that's not kind. And I mean that lovingly. But he turned to me, he said, chicken fried steak. Y'all, do you want to know how much chicken fried steak I make in my life? None. Like there were so many other meals that I was really good at making. And Jeremy said chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes. I had gotten really good at the mashed potatoes. So like I'll take that from him. And German chocolate cake for his birthday. That's all he wanted. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I can figure this out. I had no idea. So I like tried to Google. Anyway, it was so bad. Like I don't remember what kind of meat I bought for the chicken fried steak, but it literally, like I remember trying to pound it at home, you know, because you're supposed to tenderize the meat, and not like it was a thick cut of some sort of beef steak or something, and it didn't even flatten out. I mean, it was so bad. And so the meat was unedible. The mashed potatoes were great. The cake literally fell apart. I'm gonna have to make sure I upload that picture too. There's a picture of Jeremy. He's got big bags under his eyes because neither of us were really sleeping yet. We had a newborn baby, and over this beautiful German chocolate cake that had fallen apart, probably because I took it out of the pan before it had cooled completely and tried to ice it, and his 26th birthday candles on the cake. And I got a little emotional talking about that one because that turned out to be his last birthday. But you know, as disaster of a meal as that birthday dinner was, I actually remember it being a really good birthday. Like Jeremy came home from work and I'm like crying over the chicken fried steak because it's just an absolute disaster. I can tell from like trying to cook it, and the mashed potatoes were good, and he just laughed. He said, "Baby, it's fine. Let's just eat the mashed potatoes." I think we like cooked some bacon or something to have with mashed. I don't even remember, but we just laughed and like talked about how happy both of us were to be parents and just thankful for where we were in life. And it actually was like a really sweet birthday. So as far as like last birthdays go, I suppose that's a really good memory. Oh, sometimes I still just really, really miss him. Yeah. So coming back from Kansas City, you know, I remember going to my 6-week checkup and coming home and Jeremy being like, "Hey, how did it go? Like, did you talk to him a little bit about how sad you've been?" And I said, I did. And I didn't go on any medication. And not that I'm opposed to medication. I'm really not. I think what Dr. Smith and I had kind of landed on was going on the trip had probably not been good for my mental health, just with all the things. And that we kind of wanted to wait and see how I did at home. And I was in agreement with that, right? And I will tell you, coming home was good. Like I was a routine mom. It was really good with routine. Everett was a gassy baby, like super gassy. Oh my gosh. We would have this like witching hour of like 6 to 7 o'clock at night where he would just cry and cry and cry. And we got in a really good routine. I did, don't judge me, but I did like a sleep training thing with Everett. And I think that helped a ton because I wasn't doing well with the lack of sleep, and it just helped. It just helped. And Everett did great on it, actually. He's still a really good sleeper. So it was good. And we got in the groove of being parents. and the piece I just think of fondly, and is that we were just so supportive of each other, right? Like, I worked really hard to empower Jeremy to be hands-on when he was home, and Jeremy wanted to be. He was great. He was super sweet. I would wake up in the middle of the night and feed him, and oftentimes I remember Jeremy would come in towards the end and just take him from me and be like, go to bed. Like, like things like that. And he just stepped in, and I wholeheartedly trusted Jeremy with Everett. He was great with them. We did put up the Christmas tree. We actually hosted, I probably should have said no, but I'm never one to really say no. We hosted Jeremy's brothers that were up in North Carolina, stationed in North Carolina for Christmas that year. And they came down and we hosted everybody for Christmas, which was great. It was fine. Good memories, right? Because that would have been Jeremy's last Christmas too. And I think I'm going to pick it up there, because that's a lot of storytelling for today. I'm going to pick it up talking about Christmas, because there was some stuff that went down at Christmas that lingered and is important to talk about. So, yeah, that was the start of my adventure as a mother. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy. It was incredibly challenging and really, really difficult. But I think of it, I look back on it, and I think even during those couple months, those first 2 months of Everett's life, what I kept focusing on was I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I was thankful for Everett. I really wanted to be this, right? And I wanted to do it with Jeremy. Jeremy was great. Oh, good times, like truly good memories. So, yeah, y'all. Gosh, as I conclude this, my heart is full. Going back and thinking of that phase and just thinking about how great Jeremy was and supportive, right? I really appreciated that I could kind of be an emotional mess and it didn't mess him up. He was comfortable enough in himself to see me struggle, but it didn't make him struggle. And it allowed him to just love me in those moments, and be really kind with my heart. Be really soft with it. I will tell you, I still love a good strawberry milkshake. You think of this story and you think of the Sonic story when we first moved to Georgia, and, on a really shitty day, I still love a good strawberry milkshake. Sonics are great. Are they really great, or is it just Sonic that's sentimental to me? It's probably just Sonic, but there's this piece of me that's just, I might go get one today. It's just, I've been emotional, and not that food solves emotions, but I don't know, I kind of feel like that's what my heart might be craving a little bit. So anyways, I am excited for this week. Everett starts school. He starts his sophomore year of high school, and it's crazy to be talking about little baby Everett and then seeing this man of a child that I'm still finishing raising, and just so proud of him. And, I just kind of pause right now in a moment of true gratitude for all of this and for the opportunity to share it with you. I got a really sweet message this week from a lady I didn't even know, that just kind of just acknowledging the breakup with Todd. And I believe people are good. And I'm a firm believer that you get out what you put back, or you get back what you put out there, right? And doesn't mean bad stuff doesn't happen to good people, because I know that's not true. But I don't know, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for a courageous heart. But I think It's because over the years, what I've done is I have chosen to stay classy and choose love always. Thanks, y'all. See you next week.